Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the SoloMid Invitationals 2014. My name is Malthus X, and being joined here by Spuddington. We're going into the upper bracket finals for our final best of three of the day. This is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas in the blue, taking on Gamers2 in the red.
Yes, it is. And this is a repeat, I believe, of the finals we had in the last TSM Invitational of EU. Last time, of course, Rest in Pepperonis, as they were known at the time, were able to come out over Gamers2. And Gamers2 today have already lost in a finals game, I believe. So they may be on kind of up against it here. They've not had the best day already.
And they're up against an exceedingly strong team in the form of Ninjas in Pajamas. Obviously, this was the final for the first EU side of this Invitational. Um, and it went pretty one-sidedly in Ninjas in Pajamas' favor. Obviously, it's been a couple weeks. At the time, they weren't officially the solidified Ninjas in Pajamas roster. Now they are. So we'll see if Gamers2 are able to bring back some of the magic we saw. They did have some good play going for them. Like it was an exciting series. And Gamers2, they're gonna have another crack at it right here.
Yes, they will. So, picks and bans in progress now. LeBlanc Cassidy already banned out. I can see that. Obviously, I'm spectating from the stream, guys, so I'm a little bit behind, but not. It's interesting how Cassidy seems to suddenly have come back in again, because I would have thought he would have dropped out of the meta again, having been nerfed quite heavily in the last patch, pretty much reverting the very large buff he had slightly before that. But it definitely seems that a lot of the teams that are playing today, because we saw him banned earlier and played earlier, are starting to rate Cassidy as being very, very strong again. And we did see, even though he was frankly dumped on in lane by a Kale counter pick, he still managed to come back in when we saw him earlier.
And was extremely strong. So the first pick for Ninjas in Pajamas, they're going to grab up the Braum for Mithy right away. The counter picks here for Gamers2, they're going to take away the Lulu pick, which you can expect that to be a very high priority pick against Ninjas in Pajamas in every game. And then they grab up the Lee Sin for Morden, so no Lee Sin for Ko. Gamers2 are as much picking away from Ninjas in Pajamas as they are grabbing up strong picks for themselves at this point.
Yes. That being said, there is a slight issue with the steal away strategy they've got here, because Ko, at the least, has Kha'Zix still available. Kha'Zix, we've seen, still a very viable jungler, still very, very strong. Ko, very, very good on that champion. It's a little bit more difficult for Alex Ish, because his picks are a little bit more limited at the moment in terms of what he likes to play in the top lane. We might end up seeing him forced onto something like a Kale with the Lulu being stolen away, but he's made that work in the past as long as he plays it very, very carefully and doesn't allow himself to overextend too much.
And looking at this right now, Nuketa is just immediately picking up the Yasuo. I feel like he's kind of daring
He's good on
Ocelot
that
to
chap.
grab the Nidalee. Yeah, he's amazing on the Yasuo. I feel like he's kind of daring Ocelot to go for the Nidalee again. Typically that's not something you see blind picked, but he's really, really confident no matter what the matchup may be.
Yeah, and if you think about it, great synergy with Braum. It's one of the longest ranged, most difficult to avoid knockups in the game at the moment is the Braum ultimate. So you get that as your start off initiation, then you get the follow up with the last breath, and you've instantly got a very, very strong team fight burst and crowd control combination. So giving yourself a lot of crowd control. In addition to that, obviously, you've got yourself a very, very strong and resilient lane, since Braum covers for a lot of the weaknesses of Caitlyn, in that if there is an all-in attempt on her, he's very defensive, keeps her alive very effectively, and allows her to spend much more time poking out her opponents. So thus far, really like the picks out of NiP. Gamers2 have got some solid ones themselves, but like you say, it was more focused on stealing away priority picks, and they're not shutting down NiP's composition.
All right, so indeed it will be the Kale for Alex Hitch in the top lane. You called that one before. He's going to choose not to go for the Kha'Zix in this game, though. He's going to actually pick up a jungle Elise here. Is going to be the pickup. So we talked about the Caitlyn Braum lane. Their opponents, it's going to be Thresh Graves down in the bottom lane going up against them. And now we just need to see the final pick here for the side of Gamers2. Is it going to be a top lane Lulu? Will Ocelot handle the Lulu in the mid lane and grab another pickup for JWoww's top lane?
Yeah, it does do a lot to show where the NiP picks are going. Because if you think about it, Kale or Yasuo could be going in the top lane in this situation. I wouldn't necessarily want to play Yasuo into Lulu, though. So, of course, there is that waiting game we play. Kale versus Lulu we've seen in the past, though. Alex can handle that matchup. It's just in top lane. He does push out a little bit, which can be a problem. And we saw him being ganked last time we saw him playing that matchup exactly. but he was still able to farm himself up, still able to build himself into a late game teamfight beast.
All right, so they lock in the Orianna for Ocelot. So it will be JWoww with the top lane Lulu. It's going to be the mid laners go wild up in the top lane here with Kayle versus Lulu matchup. JWoww taking on Alexage. Again, Caitlyn versus Graves. Caitlyn was one of the popular early picks against Graves just because of the ability to outrange him and constantly harass. But Thresh is always such an explosive element in any lane. We're going to have to keep our eye peeled for any sort of engagements out of the bot.
It's interesting, of course, that Yuki deliberately picked his Graves into a Caitlyn matchup here.
That's
if
true.
it's a disadvantaged matchup, why would you choose to go for that? Obviously, there is that potential for all-ins always, and Braum's cooldown on his shield is quite long, which means he can't use it all the time. Graves is quite a spammy champion. His buckshot comes up relatively quickly for an AD carry with his burst tool, so you may be able to just keep the harass going and threaten the all-in with Thresh to prevent the return harass from Caitlyn.
All right. And then in the mid lane matchup, this is kind of the last one that we haven't talked about too much yet. It's Orianna going up against Yasuo. Nuke Duck, obviously extremely proficient Yasuo player in addition to being a really strong mid laner. He's going to know the matchup inside and out. Ocelot will have similar first-hand experience with how to deal with this. Does either of these champions have just a straight-up lane advantage over the other?
Well, obviously, Orianna can poke from range, which is quite a big deal against Yasuo, and it comes down a lot to how effectively Yasuo juggles his defensive capabilities. Because assuming he can dash out of the way of even one Orianna ball movement, that gives him a chance to get in on her, do quite a bit of damage, and back out again, just because he's got so many minions to jump to, jumps around so quickly. The problem is, if he starts falling behind, Orianna can just all-in him, like literally just walk up to him. If he's already on, 2/3 health, she walks up to him, shields herself, just starts auto-attacking him, and all-ins, like shockwaves at point-blank range. Suddenly, Yasuo has a lot less options, because he's forced to either run away, in which case he doesn't have any minions to jump to, or he's forced to try and fight her when he might well lose.
All right, guys, so we're going to take a little commercial break. When we come back, we'll find out the answer to all these questions and more in our first best of three between Ninjas in Pajamas and Gamers2. Second best of three of the day. This is Ninjas in Pajamas in the blue taking on Gamers2 in the red. We're in the upper bracket finals here. This is the first game of the best of three, so the score is tied up at 0-0. I'm AlphaZex, being joined here by Spuddington for the SoloMid Invitationals 2014, brought to you in part by Logitech and ProBuilds.net.
So obviously the winner of this best of three series goes straight through to the grand finals. The loser will have to fight their way through the losers bracket finals, and at best will get to the finals with a one-game disadvantage. So NiP will be looking to take this home, and currently looking like we're not going to be seeing too much aggression in this early game right now. Just a lot of guys fanning out, covering all the entrances. No pups yet.
Teams, even despite having the 30-second trinkets now, still not big fans of going in for level 1 engagements or late invasions or anything like that. We have seen a marked decline in 4v0 pushing, or actually in lane swaps in general at this point, as I believe we've seen pure 2v2 and 1v1 matchups today. So this is a little bit of a return to a slightly older meta.
Yeah, it is. I'm surprised that we're not seeing any 2v1s. 4 versus 0s aren't really an option anymore. Because of the early vision, it means you can predict that heavy push commitment coming, and then you can make sure you've got 3 people to hold against 4 people, and that basically just means they're not going to be able to push down the tower, and you'll be getting XP advantages elsewhere. But 2 versus 1s, I can still definitely see that. You bully out your opponent lane, you force their jungler to commit to holding the tower. At the moment, there isn't much purpose for either side to do that, because there's roughly equal scaling lanes and roughly equal scaling junglers as well, and roughly equal ganking junglers as well in this case, because such strong early ones. But at the moment, well, we are actually seeing 2v1s, so that's how it goes. Yeah,
so they're going to go for this one. Do you think this is more not liking the Kayle into Lulu matchup, or like what is because NiP are the ones initiating the swap here right now? What is it behind NiP wanting to change up this matchup?
I've got to honestly tell you, I'm struggling to see exactly what the purposes of this swap up are. It feels like they are scared, perhaps, of the 2 versus 2 matchup in the bot lane more than the 2 versus 1, or sorry, the 1 versus 1 in the top, because Kayle is going to do just fine. I mean, we've seen him run that exact matchup before, so it has to be the situation that they're afraid of the 2 versus 1s. And of course, Caitlyn right now does suffer sometimes in straight lane matchups against hard engaged supports, but I don't see it being quite such a problem in the early game. I'm just, I'm at a loss. Maybe I'll ask the players later because it's just something that I don't understand.
So right now we just have a two-man roaming squad here from the side of Ninja Pajamas. Alex, Itch, and Co have just been clearing out the jungle together and now moving into the enemy jungle together as well. It looks like we ended up seeing some 4v2 action up in the top lane as Morden joins JWoww to try to keep him safe under the tower, keep him farming. They have to know at this point, with no one showing in the bottom lane, that there's a high likelihood for 4 people to show up. And indeed, here they are. Mithy going to start the dive off. He's going to be taking the tower aggro. Summoner heals burn. He flashes himself away. JWoww going to be the next target. Quick double kill for Co. And Ninjas in Pajamas come out swinging.
Yeah, so that's the smart part. If you do end up in a 2v1 in the early part, I see what they were going for now. Because they didn't show Alex anywhere, he has not shown in the bottom lane. Gamers2 did not expect, essentially, Kale to just jungle along with his fellow in the jungle there and get enough XP and then go for the 4v2 dive. That hadn't even crossed their minds, I suspect, at that point. So, clever little ploy. Gets them 2 kills, of course, and it gets Caitlyn through the laning phase I say through the laning phase, they're probably still going to go back to the laning phase after this, but it doesn't build them up a huge advantage at this stage of the game. JWoww now may have to watch himself, of course, because Co is right there, has got double buff and a Braum.
JWoww from around, he's going to find this out, gets caught up by the cocoon, Braum passive going to proc as well, 2 huge stuns, and the Lulu never has the opportunity to try to run away from that one. Ninjas in Pajamas extend the kill lead 3-0.
Yeah, nice little roam there from Braum joining up with the jungler. And at least when she gets ahead of the enemy jungler, starts getting really frustrating to deal with because she just kills you every time you find her. Freeze may want to not stick around for too long. They have got ward cover. There's no real reason for her to get caught by Dude here.
So in the mid lane, Nukeduck has been having a really nice
time. He's going to get caught.
Freeze, yeah, Freeze, he's going to get caught up. There's the death sentence going down. Flay comes out as well. Freeze already used the 90 caliber net. He's got no summoner heal. Did have the flash, not going to matter. Yuki's going to pick up that kill. And Gamers2 get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, straight up misplay. You can see the trinket ward near the double golems. They both walked past that point, and she just underestimated the range from which Dude could go aggressive. JWoww now in trouble.
JWoww in trouble once again. Co going to pick up his 4th kill of the game. This is an insanely fed at least. And Co actually looking to chase down Morden. He's got Alex Itch there to help out. Co opens up. He's going to step himself back out. He's going to be able to clear tower range rather than having to go up into the repel. The Spiderling's taking it up for a second as more and more creeps just pour into this one. If Morden fights back, he's going to take as much damage from creeps as he will from champions. Alex Itch barely dodges out the Sonic Wave. War Jumps comes back out, but it's not going to be enough damage. Alex Itch picks that kill up and backs himself away.
Nice juggling of the damage there. Co kind of maybe jumped the gun a bit before, but honestly, Alex very effectively judging the exact range on the tower, keeps himself alive, keeps himself out of there. Now, this puts Gamers2 into a bit of an awkward situation because they want to use this duo lane to bully out Freeze, but they're now A, behind, and B, they're also in a lane where they do not have a tower. Right now, they can afford to commit because they know where the enemy jungler was not that long ago. But if they stay out here for a long time, they are going to have to either play very defensively or risk being killed.
Can we point out that Co has a 6-minute Spirit Stone haunting guys in Boots 1 on his Elise? That is terrifying. He can take anyone on the map right now, pretty much 1v1, and destroy them without having too much difficulty. He's almost on par with the mid laners for experience, and all Nukeduck and Ocelot have been doing is kind of sitting in the mid lane and farming against one another.
Yeah, they'll continue to do that for some time, but it's worth noting Nukeduck has built himself a farm advantage here. The auto-attack harass from Orianna, not enough to get anywhere in that respect. Has also been forced to go for the tier first rather than the Athenes, since it's a physical damage lane he's up against. And now, Gamers2 have overextended.
There's a Cocoon going down onto Dude. They drop all the damage down. Cannot get the second. Oh, they could not get the last auto attack to proc the second stun there from the Braum passive. And just like that, Dude will be able to flash himself away. Does use both summoners to survive that gank.
Very quick gank as well. It wasn't a big commitment of time from Co. He wanted to be in this area anyway, since there is a buff coming up. He's going to steal that away. I don't really see Gamers2 contesting this. Looks like they might try it, though.
I try this one. Morden has some pretty good kill potential on that one. It's going to end up going over to Dude. Now Dude needs to get himself away from this one. Gets slowed up by Mithy's Q. He's going to be able to get himself back away. So at least they keep the red buff on their team side.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that Thresh manages to outsmite both Elise and Elise Sin, two of the best execution junglers in the game, but doesn't really matter. Sometimes that just happens. Both junglers trying to jump the gun a little bit too much there. Now, taking stock for just a second here, with so much control over this upper jungle and with such a fed Elise, I think NiP are going to be happy to keep laning up there.
Alex Itch he's just going full mana on JWoww right now. He's up 2 levels, he's up 30 CS, and he just walks up to the tower with a giant creep wave, ults himself and goes for the dive. That's just full on. How do you even deal with that as JWoww? That's his 4th death of the game. JWoww's been taken completely out of this one.
Yeah, it wasn't like JWoww did anything particularly wrong in his mechanics there. Just the decision to even stay nearby was untenable. You can't stay in there when a Kayle can completely ignore the tower. You even saw he started off the aggro, took the first shot or two at the reduced damage from the tower, then used his ultimate to mitigate the damage from the higher damage tower shots, because obviously they stack up the more they hit.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, JWoww, I mean, he saved that as long as he could. You know, he used the Whimsy to get the polymorph down on Alex Itch and try to force him to take more of those high damage tower shots, but it just wasn't enough. A 2-level advantage is way too much to overcome in a 1v1 situation like that, especially on a champion that pushes as well as Kayle does.
If you get poked down even a tiny bit as JWoww right now, before being dived, you will definitely die. You have to be at full health and using your shield on yourself and praying to God that he doesn't have quite enough damage right now. Looks like there might be. Nope, not a gank on the mid lane. Duck was just looking for the potential opportunity, but Ocelot reacted pretty quickly and backed out of there.
So right now, it's a almost 3,000 gold advantage here for the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. They're not trying to force the issue too much. You know, they're having Alex roam around, pick up farm wherever he can, whenever the lane is unsafe. They're having Coke try to show up and bring some of his presence around. But mostly they're content to just continue building on the advantages they already have. Nearly 40 CS separating the two quote-unquote top laners in Alex and JWoww. The CS has actually evened up. Ocelot's done a nice job of bringing the CS back to even, just as Duck was beginning to kind of open the gap up here. And again, Freeze has been getting the slightly better of the 2v2 up in the top lane. A little bit of a CS advantage there as well. So Ninjas in Pajamas, really strong play throughout the first 10 minutes here.
Yeah, their strategy right now is essentially just have Elise, you know, pinball between top and mid, and just create ganks whenever you possibly can. Like right now, he's trying, isn't going to be able to. There's actually a slight problem they're suffering there, though, in that because this is such an early lead that they're trying to take advantage of, his sweeper is still on the increased cooldown. He hasn't hit level 9 yet, so every time Gamers2 manage to get down even one ward, it's going to stick around for quite a long time, especially if they can get it down without their opponent seeing, because you're not going to just think, well, there might be a ward here, and then waste a 120-second cooldown to think, oh, actually, that wasn't there after all. So they've got to be certain where they're sweeping, and they've obviously got less sweeps.
So we see Freeze. This is pretty popular with Caitlyn's, is to go for the very fast Berserker Greaves and then just abuse the higher move speed and the higher range to consistently poke people down. But Yuki's been taking good advantage of his BF Sword teleport coming in from Alex Itch. They believe Gamers2 have overextended, and we'll see if they're right. Dude gets taken down, gonna get slowed up. Right. There's the knockup as well. There's the stun. Looks like they are indeed right. Alex Itch goes on a killing spree as he takes down the support. 3-0-3 now on his Kayle.
They are snowballing this game. They are building up a lot of kills, and now looks like they're going to be taking away a dragon as well. Ko heading down to that area. He can solo that very safely. Obviously, they have to be a little bit wary because JWoww could turn up, but JWoww is A, not a threat, and B, not going to try anything when Yasuo is sitting in the pit with Elise.
And as if Elise didn't have enough solo dragon potential on her own, when you throw the wind wall right up in front of the dragon and take his DPS down to 0, I mean, almost any jungler can take it down. Mithy's going to get caught out in the mid lane. A little bright glimmer of hope, maybe for Gamers2. Sonic Wave lands, and Mithy's just going to take it. He's got exhaust, he throws the shield up, and Morden's going to go down for the dive.
That was a mistake. Didn't take account of exhaust, straight up. Like, that's all there is to say about that issue, but that's just increased the difference even more because now Morden has much less presence. He's 0-3 on a very strong early game jungler, and that gives Ko even more freedom to just walk around in the enemy jungle, take away things. Yuki does actually manage to get the Wraith, but you'll be careful there. Ko sticks on you, he'll kill you, but Gamers2 have got reinforcements close by.
I'm blown away by the power of the mustache. I'm about 90% sure that was all mustache that kept him alive in that one. But Ninjas in
His foot,
Pajamas
his
they're
foot gets caught.
yeah, I mean
Slipping
they're
around.
rolling over this game right now. This is started off ugly and is getting uglier by the moment here for Gamers2.
Yeah, it is. We're seeing a red buff contest. Let's see if Thresh gets this one, but you gotta be careful as Gamers2. The engage will be much more valuable.
Alex Itch goes for yet another dive, gets Polymorph very early on, and JWoww's gonna flash over the wall and leave Alex Itch to his death. Alex maybe overestimating his damage a little.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he went for that because even if the flash hadn't come down there, it would have been a trade. He wasn't going to live through that there, so slightly strange decision making. And, you know, like you say, glimmer of hope there for Gamers2. They are definitely on their heels though, and I don't think NiP are done yet. This blue buff though, they can test that. That would be dangerous. They do not have the man advantage. Obviously, Alex Edge in base and Freeze still at the top lane.
Trying to look around here. Ocelot has gone. So this is a very typical build against AD mid laners, is to go Tier, Morella Nomicon, and a Seeker's Arm Guard. It's just kind of a question of what order the items get picked up in, and he's gone for the offensive side of it first. Going the tier first is pretty common, just to go for the cheap ability power as quickly as possible. Morella Nomicon is a desirable adaptation over the Athene's Unholy Grail because it's 400 gold cheaper, provides more ability power. Doesn't give you as much mana, but it's pretty close. And it's, you know, it doesn't bring the magic resistance you're not going to necessarily need against this lineup, at least not in the early game. However, Alex Itch being as far ahead as he is going to be a lot of pain if he ever gets on top of Ocelot with Asa having no magic resist at all.
Yeah, the other thing, of course, about going for the Morella Nomicon there, as you say, it's more AP and cooldown reduction faster, and as far as Ocelot's concerned, he needs damage right now. He's one of the only players on the team that's sort of on par with where you normally expect to be if a game was going well for you, and he needs to be the major damage threat for his team. If they fall too far behind and don't build any damage, then you've just got absolutely nothing. Being tanky does nothing for you.
JWoww, goodbye. No tower here to protect him this time around. Alex Itch only takes one Glitter Lance worth of damage to take down JWoww at this point.
Yeah, he didn't even feel that Wild Growth was worth using there because he knew Kale's Q was going to come back up. He was going to get slowed down. He wasn't going to get away. Even if he would have survived a couple of extra auto attacks, it's not worth the cooldown. So Alex Itch is continuing his dominance in spite of a minor setback where he got kind of outplayed by JWoww flashing over that wall, but his pressure now is really, really difficult to deal with. He's just constantly shoving bot, and people are being drawn to deal with it.
Yuki gonna get slowed up. CS gap has opened up a bit between the AD carries. It's now a 20 CS gap here in favor of Freeze. And with the global objectives, his team's been able to secure. Oh, Ocelot committing so hard. He's gonna get the Dark Passage rather canceled by the knockup from Braum, and down goes Ocelot. Gives up his life to take down the tower. Ninja in Pajamas gonna be more than happy to repay that tower in kind.
Yeah, that's not a tower you can contest if your Gamers2, and that's the peril of Yasuo and Braum. It's such a long-range engage.
Mithy stepping forward here. The collateral damage comes in just to clear out the creep wave and stall Ninjas in Pajamas as long as they possibly can. JWoww taking refuge in the bottom lane, picking up what creeps, what experience, what gold he can. But it's going to be a long, long time before this Lulu shows any presence in the team fights at all.
Yeah,
whether she's there or not.
Contribute the knock-up.
And that's going to be about it.
Yeah, pretty much. The health, the knock-up. She's basically a support Lulu at this point. She does have a little bit of AP. Triple Doran's rings, but not much damage, I think. And wave clear, perhaps, I guess, is the main thing right now for her.
This is very scary when you take a champion like Lulu, who normally provides so much utility for the team, and you just kind of take her completely out of the game. This is almost reminiscent of what we saw SK2 do at All Stars, where they just took every top laner out of every game and just make them a complete non-factor. Lulu is not a champion that can deal with that situation very well. I mean, she sort of needs the ability power to be useful. At this point, she's just Glitter Lance slows. That's the biggest thing that this Lulu can offer the team at this moment. And a little bit of, like you said, the knockup if anybody gets too close.
Yeah, so Gamers2 are trying to turtle in, basically, now. They need, Lulu can help them with that, obviously. Oh, wow, engage.
Nuke throws up the wind wall to block out the death sentence as well. And that's going to be 2 quick kills going over for Ninja in Pajamas.
Trying to turtle in is the operative word. Trying. It's very difficult to turtle in when you can get bursted down like that, and that's the one player that was doing okay. Now, suddenly, not so much. That's just been killed. They lose another tower. The gold difference is up to, what, 10k at this point. 18 minutes in. They can't even surrender yet if they want to. This is all looking very, very ugly.
Yeah, this has not been a whole lot of fun. But, and also this is, it's worth pointing out
for NiP.
Yeah, this is, it's worth pointing out that that's the potential when you don't buy an early Seeker's Arm Guard or pick up any sort of defensive stats against the Yasuo. Is there's always the chance that if he can jump to you, he will be able to 100-0 you almost instantly.
I think I still stand by the decision though, just because if they did get into a fight, it's because right now Gamers2 are in a situation where like any kind of fight is almost a 100% chance they lose. If they get an advantaged matchup and Ocelot's built damage, they might get like a 20% chance to win a fight, which is vastly better odds than they would get in any other kind of fight. So if you build defensive and you get that advantaged engage, it's not going to be as easy to capitalize on it. So he's kind of like going with the go big or go home plan, and obviously that time he went home very forcibly. Ko is not going to get hooked.
Okay. Pink ward goes down. Ko's going to get spotted out. 5-0 so far in his Elise. He made most of his impact within the first 5 minutes of the game, and he's been, decidedly quiet given how rambunctious he was for the early game. I mean, he's still been showing good presence. He's still been doing everything that you expect a jungler to do, but so much of that action was confined to the very early stages of the game, and Ninjas in Pajamas have just been in control ever since.
Yeah, it's been presence now. It's actually not something I would expect to see from Ko, because his weakness as a jungler is going a bit too aggressive, looking for too many kills, and making some slightly dodgy decisions as a result of that. But he's actually been being very smart here, playing the map, just being in places where Gamers2 don't know where he is, and because he's so fed, they then can't go anywhere near it. Dude may have killed himself.
Dude gonna get locked up here by Nuke. Nuke does get exhausted, but it's not gonna be enough. Dude's gonna have to flash away to keep himself alive. Now Yuki coming in from the other side. Mithy on the run for this one, gets the slow down. Dark Passage gonna pull Yuki out of danger. And now it's gonna be up to the rest of Gamers2 to keep the tower healthy.
Yeah, not gonna be having an easy time of holding that tower. Alex Itch, pretty much unassailable. He's got the intervention if they ever get on him. So he's just gonna keep healing, keep sieging, and they've already got a Caitlyn, so 650 range autos.
And interestingly enough, he's going to leave out the Runaan's Hurricane this time around and goes in for a very early Zephyr on this scale. So still prioritizing a lot of early attack speed, but changing his path for getting there.
It's the split push, I think, that Alex Ish is trying to maximize there. It also makes him faster, obviously, and harder to pin down if they're trying to stop him. And it gives him probably roughly equal single target damage to Runaan's, just because it gives you a lot of other stats as well.
Oh, goodbye, Ocelot. Takes a huge chunk of damage there from Ko. Nuke Duck gets into range, gets a knock-up, and picks up the kill with the last Whisper. Or, excuse me, the last Breath. Now Morden has to jump himself away. There's another knock-up. Can Nuke Duck get in? No, he cannot. Flash comes out from Morden. He's going to be able to get himself away from this one alive. And now, logical choice. Nuke Duck going to want to take up the tower as Ninjas in Pajamas beat a hasty retreat.
Your last Breath is likely to be a last Whisper, so it'll be... Okay. Well, okay, right. So, Gamers2... I'm trying to think right now what they can do to turn the situation around, and I'm coming up a bit blank. Gamers2, they just lack any kind of ability to secure fights. I mean, Yuki still has some items, maybe if they can get a good pick off, but Elise is showing too much presence. Every time they go for a fight, it seems to be on Alex Edge, and he just kills everybody involved. So, well, just buckle up, basically. Try and hold on. They've got inhib towers now, so at least those regenerate.
That is true. They won't be able to go for the long game to whittle a tower down a little bit at a time. But they're starting to get to the point where their items are going to hit a critical mass, and the towers won't even matter anymore. They'll just go for a Braum knockup to draw tower aggro, and the Braum, once he starts buying a little bit of armor, in addition to all of the HP and his, his W and his E, giving the damage reduction, not so much to the towers, but to everything else, they'll be able to just, Yuki gets caught out. Can he get himself away from this one? Ocelot's there. The shockwave not going to land as Nuke Duck jumps to Ocelot, and then goes back out to the creeps and gets himself away.
No matter what your opinions on Yasuo as a champion, whether you think he's a horrible, horrible, overpowered monster, or someone that is just bait for bad players in solo queue, he's always fun to watch when he's played really, really well like that. I mean, Ocelot, it's very hard, of course, for him because he has to try and catch someone, but well, it was predicted and it was dodged out of there by NukeDuck. So he's going to go down to the bottom lane. No, he's not. Okay. Surprised. I was expecting him to do some split pushing. There is still one inner tower, and I'd expect NiP would look to take that, but not right now.
Alexich running up towards front. Death Sentence not going to land on the freeze. And now it looks like Ninja in Pajamas is going to be content to use the Caitlyn range to just try to siege down the tower with a wind wall. Trying to do so. There's the Cocoon landing on the Yuki. Knockup goes down onto Dude. NukeDuck going to follow up on that one with the last whisper. Last breath again. Dang it. He's going to turn back around and force Ocelot back out. Ocelot gets ignited. He's going to have to move himself away. Cocoon lands on Ocelot again. They go back in for the re-engage. Ko has to flash himself over the wall. The intervention comes out from Alexich. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to flash over the wall or not. Now JWoww coming back out. Gets the slowdown onto NukeDuck. No follow-up on that one as Freeze is continuing to just right-click people down. So they get the catch onto Dude, but not able to continue pushing in towards the towers.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to be stopped for much longer. Gamers2 have to regen here. They have to go back and heal. Although...
Nice! Shockwave pulls Freeze back in. Koga's taken down very low as well. Freeze with the Morello Nomicon. Not going to get any extra healing coming out. He's not going to go down. Cocoon lands on Dude. He's going to pull it back away. Alexich steps to the front and blows up JWoww. Picks that kill up. Now Yuki's on the run. Knockup goes down. Double kill for Alexich. He's got a red buff. Doesn't want to get too close to Ocelot, however. And Ninjas in Pajamas continue their push onto the mid inhibitor tower.
Finally looked like they might have turned the situation around in their favor, and then suddenly Alexich.
And goodbye, Morden. Freeze gets the short.
We knew you not.
On the ace in the hole, with his ace in the hole getting cancelled, he's going to be able to pick up the kill onto Lee Sin. Ninjas in Pajamas a little indecisive, and that's actually going to be the surrender vote coming out from Gamers2. Let's go to game 2.
That was not the start Gamers2 wanted. Like, oh my god, that was not the start they wanted in this series. They're an emotional team as well. Ocelot, well known for being less of a good player when he's on tilt. So we'll see if they can get themselves back in the game after that. They did not have an answer to that initial swap around, that 4 versus 2 in the top lane with the double dive. And after that point, with Ko giving so much presence across the map, it was just crushing from that point.
We'll see if Gamers2 can avoid an early level pitfall like that one. We're going to take a little bit of a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have game number 2 of this best of 3 between Ninjas in Pajamas and Gamers2.